can find in 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 3 through 6. I will read for you. وَيَعَسْ هَيُوشُرْ بِعِنَا أَذُنُوي كِخُرْ أَشِرْ عُصَابُ وِيدْ أُوِيُّ. And he did what is right in the eyes of the Transcendent One, just as was done by Deut, David, his father. And it continues. This is with regard to Hezekiah. It continues even more explicitly. وَيِذْبَقْ بَذُنُوي لُسُورْ نَحْرُو وَيِشْمُرْ نِسْوُفُو أَشْرَفْ سِبْوَانْ أَذُنُوي أَثْنُوشَانْ. And he, Hezekiah, clung to the Transcendent One and did not turn aside from following after him. And he kept the commandments that the Transcendent One commanded to Moses. He kept the commandments and did what was right before the Almighty. And he clung to the Almighty. That is salvation and eternal life in the context of the Torah, the divinely revealed instruction given by Moses before all the nation of Israel. Now here are a few examples, being that there are many such in the Tanakh. Here are a few examples in the New Testament. Actually, I'm not going to look them up. You can look them up yourselves. The first I will give is in Luke chapter 1, verse 6. That's with regard to the parents of John the Baptist. It describes them both as being righteous before the Almighty, walking blamelessly in all of the commandments and statutes of the Lord. And by the way, it continues on in verse 9 of the same chapter, Luke chapter 1, that John the Baptist's father kept, it mentions at least one of the customs of the people of Israel, and it says that he kept this custom. So that should strike a Christian as curious, if he's careful in his reading, that he's blameless in walking in the commandments of the Almighty, and at the same time he's keeping Jewish customs. Further example, Acts chapter 21, verse 21. There it was reported that Paul was teaching the Jewish people throughout the world, outside of Israel, that they should not circumcise their children, they shouldn't be circumcised, they should abandon the Torah, the law of Moses. Alright? So Acts chapter 21, verse 21 says, in addition, that he was teaching not to walk in the customs. And then it goes on, and it says, but all that they have been told of you is nothing. That includes not only that, according to Acts 21, Paul not only did not teach the Jews to forsake circumcision, but he also did not teach them to forsake the law of Moses in general, and he also did not teach them not to walk according to the customs, but that you yourself walk orderly, keeping the law. That's in Acts chapter 21. And if you, again, having said that it is nothing, the report that he taught not to walk in the customs, and then it goes on and by saying that you yourself, that this is nothing that they've said about you, but that you yourself walk orderly, keeping the law. This equates keeping the law with circumcising, keeping the law of Moses, and walking according to the customs. Of course, the question is, what customs? So here's a second example in the New Testament itself of people keeping the law of Moses. Yes, they could keep the law of Moses, even according to the New Testament. Another interesting, and this will be the last example, Acts chapter 6, verse 14. Here it states explicitly that this is a false witness about Stephen. And that false witness was, interestingly enough, the very same thing which is considered a basic teaching of Christianity in general. And Acts chapter 6 teaches that it was a false witness. What is that basic teaching of Christianity that Acts chapter 6 verse 14 teaches was false? That the one who they believe is the Messiah would change the customs which Moses handed over to the people of Israel. I think that's enough of examples from the New Testament now. I will leave this with a reading from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30. This is quoted, I think, in one of the 3 epistles of John, towards the end of the New Test. I will put in an annotation exactly where that is. But anyway, that is a reference that his commandments are not too hard for us. Alright? So that New Testament quote is a reference to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 17. Verse 17, chapter 30, verse 10 through 11. Here we go. Listen to the voice of the Transcendent One, your venerable authority. To guard or keep His commandments, and His statutes, which is written in this book or scroll of Torah, divine instruction. For you shall return to the Transcendent One, your venerable authority, with all of your heart and with all of your soul or being. Ki hamishwo hazef, for this commandment, to keep all of the matters, commandments and statutes which are written in this law, which is just referred to in the verse that I finished reading just now. Ki hamishwo hazef, for this commandment, asher onuchi mesabwacho hayyum, that I am commanding you today, that I am Moses, and a speaker on behalf of the Almighty, am commanding you today. He is not too wonderful, not too difficult for you. And He is not too distant or far off for you. He is not in heaven. He in Hebrew is she. And there's no it in Hebrew, so he's a reference to the Torah. It is not in heaven. Lemur, that you would say, Mi ya'la hashomayimo wa yitpohaho lonu, who shall ascend to heaven to bring it for us. It is not in the heavens that we should need somebody to ascend to the heavens to give us a new law. Not only that, but this means that all of the everlasting commandments have already been revealed. It is no longer stored in heaven to be granted to mankind. All future prophets to come, and there will be more prophets according to the Hebrew Bible, their missions to the public will only be to edify us, to strengthen us in returning to upholding the everlasting commandments already given to the people of Israel, and the principles of which to teach to the world, to guide us in the paths of truth which have already been given from long of old. I think it's good to end this video with a quote, Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 29. Christianity is obsessed with the secrets and mysteries, but this verse says that the secret things belong to the Lord. But to us, the revealed things are to us and our descendants forever, to do all the matters of this Torah.